2022 is now in session. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the August 4th meeting. Do we have a quorum for that? No. We don't, so we're going to skip that. Then do we have, can we vote on the resolution? SK makes it. No, we can't. So we're going to move on and do that when we have the right people here. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. First, the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reasons for the requested variance and present any material or documentation which is to be considered regarding the proposal. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or a representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following the public hearings this afternoon, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the public record except for the information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Now, we have two cases today. What I am choosing to do is to go to new business first and get that out of, get those three things out of the way. And then we do our cases. I think it will be more efficient as far as that's concerned. So, everybody got that on the board? Yep. Okay. The first one is use variance V0010M1. Find that.
Page, I don't have my agenda. 53.
53. Okay.
I guess I don't. Okay, so this, yes, V0010M1. This is a use variance modification to modify a use as well as a site plan for a property at 901 Lodi Street. This is Lodi and Willow. LLC is the owner and the applicant. It's in a split zoning district, although there are 4 properties involved, office class B and residential class A. If you recall, the board approved an interpretation of our definition of daycare to include those of all ages. This is a daycare which is allowed by right in this zoning district to go into this building. This building is physically encumbered by a use variance. So that's why it's on your agenda, is a minor modification to, as I said, include this new use into the building along with existing other uses that are in there.
So this, after we made that decision,
yeah,
this is, we had already approved a variance for this building?
yes, for the parking lot, actually,
okay.
because it is split zone. There are 4 parcels involved, and the parcels that encompass the physical parking lot are residential class A. So that's why it's part of this.
Okay. And is there anybody here to talk about?
There can be, if you'd like. Usually new business items should stand on their own, but I know the architect is here and available for any questions.
Okay. Who's that?
Bob, yeah.
State your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Bob Abbott, architect, representing the Adult Daycare Center at 901 Lodi. My address is 2501 James Street, Syracuse.
Just briefly explain the modification you're asking for, please.
Well, this building has been run for, it was built in the 1960s, and originally there were 2 other houses, residential, on the Lodi Street side. when the Falcone Insurance Agency purchased the building around 1999, they bought the other two residential properties, and then they had them torn down because that gave them the parking that the building desperately needed, you know, to run as it is today. So I guess it ran under a variance. Instead of having a zone change to all one zone, it ran under the variance so they could keep the parking as it is. So what we've done is we've had addressed comments from the DPW transportation planner, and we've made site modifications to comply with their wishes, and that's where we stand right now.
Okay, I'm still not clear on what the modification is.
We're modifying the uses within the building. This is a use allowed by right, which is why it's a minor modification and a new business item.
Okay,
So,
got it. Okay.
yes.
Yep. Any
Okay.
questions?
So we don't care about the parking lot at all at this
No, we
time?
already approved that.
Yeah.
Any questions? No.
We do care about the parking lot physically. The use has been granted, relief has been granted to use that property as a parking lot. But modifications that the transportation planner is requesting have been satisfied by the plans submitted.
Questions? No questions, okay, sounds okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to ask for a motion. It seems like a minor modification.
I don't see the tests, you know what I mean?
No,
Oh, you don't have to.
We don't need to
Yeah,
go.
well, I make a motion, we approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? You want to just...
Sufficiently.
All those in favor say aye.
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 That's unanimous. Okay, the next new business item.
This is a similar situation. This is V8509M2. This is also a use variance modification for something where the uses were permitted per se. This is the courtyard at James, at 708 James Street, and this is to modify the floor plan. Courtyard at James LLC is the owner and the applicant. It's office class B. The proposal is to, let me put it this way. The most recent modification was to have the Samaritan Center on the basement level of this residential unit building. Now, a daycare center would like to establish themselves in that same exact spot that the Samaritan Center was previously occupying. So, similar situation to the one you just looked at where uses were previously waived, parking was previously waived, and now the same space in which you looked at a previous minor modification for the Samaritan Center is being proposed to be occupied by a daycare center.
Is there anybody here?
I don't think so. Well, I'm not sure. Oh, yes, hello.
My name is Bill Thresh. I'm the listing agent for the property. I represent the owner. And I've also been helping out the daycare itself, you know, get in and kind of representing her a little bit.
So give us an address, please, and just, again, a brief statement on
Yep.
on the modification you're
Yep.
requesting.
I'm at 118 Forest Hill Drive in Syracuse. So Eartha came to me about 6 months ago wanting to lease out the space. She's been going through the permit and approval process. And with that, she needs to get a permit for the property and have this variance pushed through. She's enacting on a grant program with Hochul put out that addresses the lack of daycares in Syracuse. So, you know, getting this funding is pretty reliant on the variance and getting a permit for the space.
Questions?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there a motion
I'll make the motion
to approve?
to approve
Yeah,
the
that-
variance.
Okay. Is there a second?
Vacant.
Ask Karen if she wants a second. She does not want to?
Karen,
Then I will.
Okay, we have a second.
thank you.
Anything else to say about it, anybody? Okay, call the question, all those in favor of the modification, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, okay. Moving along, the final environmental impact statement, 910 Madison Street project. I know there are people here, I need to remind them that this is not a public hearing. This is gonna be between our lawyer and ourselves.
So the next new business item is the final environmental impact statement for 910 Madison Street. Brody Smith from Bonshanik and King is the attorney assisting the city with seeker, and he is here to give the board guidance as to next steps.
Okay, so by way of review, after the positive declaration, the steps that the board has gone through as part of the environmental impact statement was first scoping, deciding what areas would be studied in the EIS. Number two, the preparation of a draft environmental impact statement, which is prepared by the applicant. And the final step in the EIS process here is the final environmental impact statement. A final environmental impact statement includes the draft EIS. It also includes any revisions. And then the most important part of an FEIS is comments, which are received from the public, combined, and responded to. So those three components make up your final EIS. About 3 weeks ago, the applicant submitted an FEIS for your consideration. It was presented to the board at your last meeting. And now my recommendation is the board should make a decision on the completeness of that final EIS. If you decide that it's complete, that final EIS will be filed with the city in your planning department, and then you'll be ready to take the next step in your deliberative process, namely consideration of the variance itself. So the next steps, assuming that you view that the final EIS is complete and appropriate for acceptance, it'll be filed with the city. It'll be posted on the city's website. I will take care of filing a notice of completion with the DEC. That's a document that they put up on their website saying that a EIS has been completed. The next steps following that will be at your next meeting. You can consider the variance and debate it. And then following that meeting, I'll get some input from the board one way or another and prepare a finding statement. That finding statement could then be either adopted, revised, not adopted, at the next meeting. So we're in meeting one, assuming you declare the FEIS complete. That's the only thing you need to do today. Meeting two, debate the merits of the variance, and then meeting three, you'd adopt a written decision, which would consist of your seeker finding statement and your resolution either adopting or rejecting the variance application.
When we get to the next stage, the variance stage, are we going to vote on the variance?
No, I don't think you would vote on it at the next meeting, but I think you should debate it and have a conversation about it, and then you need to give me some direction to write some things down. And there are options on how to do that. We could either do that in executive session, or I could speak to the board individually, whatever you prefer. Yeah.
And the variance hearing will be a new public hearing, or?
Yes,
how's that gonna work?
if you choose to authorize a hearing, you can do that today, and that can be on your next agenda.
Okay. What's the date of the next meeting?
October 6th.
You're not required to have a hearing pursuant to seeker. That's a choice. If you want to have a hearing pursuant to your process with the variance, you may. Yeah.
This is a broader process than we usually do because of the the Class 1 seeker that we did. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because we usually vote.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
right, yeah.
Yes.
We usually, we usually vote on the variance.
Yeah, the reason I'd ask you to take a step there, instead of closing the public hearing and voting immediately, is you're required to have a written finding statement pursuant to seeker, and you have to adopt that written finding statement before you vote.
As opposed
So
to-
I need to know from you what to write. And so that's why we need a little pause there, and why it's 2 meetings instead of 1.
6 weeks instead of 3 weeks, yeah.
Do we have any questions? And do we have any, you want our comments on whether we think this is complete, correct?
So I think, yeah, the next step is for you to either declare that it is complete and authorize it to be filed with Heather's office, and direct me to do the necessary notice to the DEC, or not, or you don't feel it's complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
I open it to the board, where we only have 4 of us today. What do you-
Well, I saw in the back how the applicant made the comments, he answered the questions that, that people made, so as far as I would say, it's pretty darn close, it's complete.
What do you think? Any other comments from the board? Karen?
I would just say this, Stu, and I don't know if my comment is, I guess, appropriate to make now, but from what I read and what I see, I think it's complete. But I know this is a very sensitive issue, and it would be nice if we had more people on the board here to, really comment on this. From my perspective, it's complete. But, I know it's sensitive, and if we had a full board here, I think it would be, it would have a little bit more teeth, if I could say that.
So my comment on that is that I was not here when we looked at the draft. And what I gather is there were not a lot of comments then.
Right.
It was considered fairly complete to us then. This is what I gathered.
That's true.
And yes, it's always better to have our full board here, and sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Right.
And we are a quorum.
Right.
So we will vote on this today.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't here at the last meeting, so am I allowed to vote?
So in other words,
Well, you do,
you didn't get,
I can,
no, everybody got this, and everyone got the comments.
right, so yeah, the answer is yes. Okay? You-
We got twice the comments because they came online, we got an email.
Yeah, well, I had read the comments previously, and then, I reviewed this. Okay, so the,
So there was a motion. I think if you want to proceed with that motion, we need a
I'll
second.
make a motion, we declare the the draft statement complete.
I'll second it.
The final EIS.
Yeah.
Final EIS complete.
make your statement. I mean, I'll just say I reviewed it, and I think it's a very complete document. It responds to what's required in the environmental impact statement.
Right.
So all those in favor of accepting, say aye.
Aye.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
So while you're on this subject, you can do this now or at the end of the meeting when we do authorizations, but you should discuss and think about if you're going to authorize the actual variance for a public hearing for the next meeting. So,
I mean, yeah,
Well, I thought that Brody wants more time to make comments.
No, the question is, I think the question you're asking, correct me if I get it wrong, is do you want to have a public hearing again on this?
as opposed to, what's the alternative to that?
Not,
To not have a public hearing and then
right.
just
So just,
leave it where it was and then,
so you had closed the hearing.
right.
Yeah.
So this would be an old business item, but there were only certain people here who were at that hearing.
Right. Here, I mean, today
Well,
it's
we,
over?
no, we were
Oh, oh,
online. We
oh,
were, it was COVID.
Yeah,
There's like 4 of us too, I believe, that were doing it, right?
either 4 or 5. I'm thinking 5. You don't know, you're not sure?
No, I think,
And I was-
well, at least 4.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
I was here, you were here. Mike Stanton was probably here, and that leaves only Nora. So, okay, so what's your point, Heather?
My point
I mean,
is,
in other words, if we open the hearing, we kind of start over again on the variances.
Start over? No. So if you decide to take public comment at the next meeting, the only consequence is you would take public comment. And then once you close the public hearing, you would then be free to debate the variance.
Okay,
You don't need to start, when you say start over, you don't need to like do seeker again or anything, if that's what you're saying. Yeah.
We would need those 4 people.
but it's only the people that were there for the first hearing, either way.
no. What I'm saying is if it's an old business, only those that were at the first hearing may vote.
That's what I asked you, that's,
Yes.
yes. So, if we open for more comments, it's still the same people can vote.
No. Whoever is here at that time,
There may
at
be
that
people here at the
hearing,
next meeting that
will be
weren't at
able
the
to
last
vote.
meeting. Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay.
I think you're right. I'm not sure Nora was at the first public hearing. I don't think. Yeah.
I just have a feeling there was more than 4. I thought
There were
five.
5.
Or, no,
There were 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Stu, both Mikes, Nora, and Karen.
Oh, okay.
So it's Otis and Nick, and
And you might want to refresh yourselves.
well, that's why I asked if we start. When I say start the hearing again, do we hear? I mean, obviously we have the case to read again, but if we invite comments, we're going to hear
6 hours of comments.
basically, you know, the two sides that we heard before, kind of say the same thing. I'm thinking. Any input?
Well, I think we've seen the public comments, we've read them, we've heard them in the past, so I don't know if we need to get more comments, because the same people are gonna come back with the same.
But then in that case, only 5 people can vote if we do not take comments again.
Correct.
Only the 5 people can vote. Anybody else? Opinions on that?
So we would need, Michael and Nora would have to show.
We'd have to make sure they would be here. Or, I mean, if they're not here, we couldn't do it.
Now, Heather, can I ask this question? If I say, okay, let's have a public hearing, I'm voting on that option today, correct?
That's what.
To authorize the public hearing, yes.
Okay, fine.
And you can do that.
Okay, and if I'm outvoted here today, then we're just going to go with the closed hearing, correct?
It would be closed. It wouldn't be any
It-
public comment.
It is
That's right, no
closed. The
problem.
hearing's closed.
That's right.
Oh, okay, I don't mean closed.
Yeah.
I meant closed to people, but the hearing would be closed. So we would just, the 5 of us would just deliberate on the variances at the next meeting, as
Yes.
opposed to hearing comment on it.
Right, if there's any
Right, yeah.
questions that the board had and the applicant was here, you can ask the applicant questions in order to make an informed decision. in your deliberations. But if you choose not to have a public hearing, there will not be any input from the public at that point,
Right.
nor a formal presentation.
I'm trying to, okay, on one hand, I mean, just to be honest, I don't know if anything new is gonna be said. On the other hand, I would like as many people, it's a big decision, from the board to be able to deliberate. And we're just talking about the possibility of 2 other people. And, Nick hasn't been able to come lately, and we don't know about Nora.
You could always have a special meeting to have just this. You don't have to have this on your regular agenda.
Right, if you're worried about it being-
If you all couldn't come,
Yeah.
and you found a date that if that's the desire of the board. So
If you're
there-
worried about it being a long meeting, you could pick another day.
And are you able to advise us? Do you have an opinion, or you're not going to?
It is not legally required for you to have a public hearing, but you may choose to have a public hearing if you think it is desirable to receive additional public comment.
I'm going to ask for a motion of, it's a tough one. Either a public hearing or not.
Public hearing would allow whoever shows up of the board that day to make the decision.
That, to me, that's the upside of it. And the other side is we have heard the case. We've read all the arguments are in everything that we said. Do we need to hear it all again? The last hearing, if I'm correct, was somewhere between 4 and 5 hours, and we heard a lot. And if we vote against that, then only the 5 of us can vote. If I get anything wrong, let me know, but that's that. Anybody want to make a motion?
Well, since he's kind of neutral on it, why doesn't he make?
Well, if I was to make a motion, I would make a motion to have a public hearing. I would make that motion.
You go. Okay. Any other comments?
So then it would be on the agenda, just like a normal business item, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor of the public hearing say aye.
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 There we go. Let's move on to our cases. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Okay, the first case is V2215. This is the first public hearing. It's an area variance to waive the required front yard at 1311 Lancaster Avenue. This is to construct a front landing and establish or maintain a driveway, and Lombard is the owner and the applicant, and it lies within a residential class A1 zoning district.
Good afternoon. I'm Ann Lombard, and I'm the owner, and I reside at 1311 Lancaster Avenue in Syracuse with my daughter Lucy, who's a junior at Nottingham High School and a crazy dog. I'm here to ask for an area variance so that I can finish construction on the front porch that I've never done renovation before, so my apologies to the board. We thought that we could build in the exact same footprint a replacement front porch for a crumbling concrete porch that was there when I purchased the house. I purchased the house in the summer of 2020. Prior to that, it sat vacant for several years due to the owner dying. It fell into foreclosure. It was in significant disrepair, so I knew that there was some work that needed to be done. So in good faith, we started work earlier this summer by taking off the concrete porch that had been there since the house was built, I believe. My understanding is that my house was built in the 1950s, and The porch has been a part of it since then, but I've come to understand, I've only lived in Syracuse for 11 and a half years, that there was some work that was done on the street, and so I think that the zoning may have changed for the house based on, you can help me with that, Garrett. One of my neighbors is here to support me. But I'm very anxious to finish the construction. It's been stalled for 3 months now. And I'm anxious to finish it. I think it will improve the quality of my house and the quality of the neighborhood. So thank you for having me here this afternoon.
Sure. So, just give us a quick idea of what you're doing.
Yes, I'm trying to replace the crumbling concrete porch that was there when I purchased the house that has already been demolished with a wooden porch in the exact same footprint. And so I thought that I needed no permit and learned that I did. So we've stopped, we applied for a permit and it was denied, and now I'm here for a variance. I need approximately 2 feet to build in the exact same footprint that was there.
Now, is this an enclosed porch, like a room, or is it?
No, it's more like it's a deck with a railing. It's not enclosed.
It doesn't have a roof?
No.
So what an, 1.5 feet encroachments of parking for the driveway with.
I'm not, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm puzzled as to why the driveway has anything to do with this, because it's the front porch that I'm trying to complete.
My guess, and I can be corrected, which would be fine, is that driveway 12 feet is the limit on a driveway. And you probably obtained the house and it was 13 and a half as you bought it.
Oh, yes, no, I share the driveway with my neighbors to my left.
Am I correct, Heather? You're correct. Okay. Once every couple of years. Okay. That's why, while they were looking at everything, they noticed that your driveway was too big, too wide by 1.5 feet. Okay. Questions? So what you're doing, again, the driveway is not within the ordinance. It's 1.5 feet. To your knowledge, it's that's always been that way, but it's been that way since you've been there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And Garrett has lived in, my neighbor who is with me, has lived in the neighborhood longer and can talk with
but
you.
You're not the sharer of the driveway, are you? No. Yeah, okay.
No. No, I'm here hoping that you'll allow me to finish the construction on my front porch in the same footprint.
When it was started, are you doing it yourself or you hired someone?
No, I've hired someone to do it. Mm-hmm.
And they didn't get a permit?
Yeah, they should know. And, I've done that and.
Yep. I understand. It was absolutely unintentional, so.
And it's the exact same.
It's the same footprint, yes.
So it's the same size. And the 1.5 feet, it was just, again, like that's the driveway, I'm sorry. Oh, it's a foot, okay, so the 1.5 feet, you're not changing the measurements at all?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Other questions? Okay. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of the application?
Sure.
My name is. Name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Garrett Esposito, and I live at 1151 Lancaster Ave. I'm here to support her as a neighbor and a friend.
And
I've lived in the community all my life. I was actually born on Lancaster Ave, worked my way through the city school district, Syracuse University, and ended up buying my first house back on Lancaster Avenue. So I'm 1 block away from Miss Lombard. I know that the house was built in the 50s. I know it's always had a concrete porch because I used to deliver newspapers to it when I was 12 years old. And so when the porch was crumbling and she went to replace it, we were all pretty excited about that. I'll just read this brief statement here, actually. This is from my wife and I. We were actually writing this letter in support of Miss Lombard and building her front porch landing area. Since the last owner lived in this property, the house has been in foreclosure. left vacant for a number of years and falling into disrepair. A blue tarp on the roof, broken windows, garbage, and an unsightly yard was what we got to see every time we walked past the house. When Ann purchased the property, it brought new life into the house and began to tie that part of the community back together. The house has always had a concrete front porch attached to it. As materials fail over time, you must repair or replace, and we were not really understanding why a homeowner in the city of Syracuse would ever be told that they would not be able to replace existing with new materials. Obviously, you have to maintain your property, which requires new materials. The porch hasn't changed since the house was built, and Ann's not asking to change the size of it. She's just looking to replace the materials with new materials. If something else had changed, it's really not the fault of the homeowner, and if anything, the porch dimensions should continue to be grandfathered in. Again, our full support on this project, and hope to see a beautiful porch in the front of Ann's house completed sooner than later.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions? Anybody else wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody wish to speak against the application? Then, hearing none, we'll close this case and move on to our next case.
The next public hearing is V2217. This is an area variance to waive the required front yard at 1626 Caleb Avenue, and this is to maintain a driveway and parking area within the required front yard. Laura Rennie is the applicant and owner, and it lies within a residential class A1 zoning district.
Hi, Laura Rennie, 1626
You could put the
Caleb.
microphone down so we can hear you a little better, thanks?
Sure, is that okay?
That's better.
Okay. Laura Rennie, 1626 Caleb Avenue. I bought this house a little over 8 years ago. I have a 2-car garage. I have a driveway behind that. And from the street looking at my house to the left, you will find Tarvia that was put down there some 15 years ago. I got a reputable, I mean, my driveway needs to be done near the bottom, and I got a reputable blacktop people, and they said, you know, you have to get a permit. So I went down to the permit place. They were very nice, and they said, what's this? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, we don't know that this exists. And I said, well, it's there. And
What exists? I don't know.
the Tarvia. It's a, I don't know the exact specs of the footage. And I said all I wanted to do was to top it with 2 inches to make my curb appearance better. I mean, it's in deplorable condition, not to the point where there's potholes or stuff, because, you know, it's really not used. I mean, since I've been there, I have used it every other year to drop timber light or mulch, you know, to put throughout my property. But I now want to get my driveway done.
You'll have a 2-car garage, right?
It would look, it would,
2-car, yeah.
it would be like, you know, taking this table here and refinishing half of it and then having this part not done.
Okay. So, you want to clean up your driveway, and you were cited because it's too wide. Is that the issue, Heather?
I don't,
I'm sorry, issue? Yes, the
This driveway is 35 feet wide.
It's too wide within the required front yard.
What's at the
You
side
would give
here?
allowance for the width of the garage doors, but it's wider than that.
Isn't the garage in the back?
It's like on the side.
It's on the side.
Your corner property, right? Yeah.
I am a corner
Yeah, I
property.
drove by one day there, yeah.
There are some comments.
Yeah, okay, I'm confused because I've got all these papers handed to me.
Sorry.
And I lost track of which I had before and which I had after.
This is
So,
you got this one, right, from this guy?
yeah, the counselor, yeah.
It's not as though I'm trying to make something new, I'm just trying to fix something that is existing.
Now, is there a curb? There's no curb in front of that, is there?
A curb where?
In front of your driveway, in front of the garage? No, it goes right to the street?
I have a little something that the city put there. It's not like a curb like they spent a lot of money for. What was happening is that the garbage trucks were coming down Clover Ridge and they were making a big swing on the bottom of my driveway right over my water thing. And I mean, I got, so what they did is they came and put a little, asphalt tar, which is horrible looking, but it stopped the garbage trucks from coming down onto the bottom of my driveway, a big swing. And because, I'm a girl, the thing that is by your street, the water meter, they would pound that for years. And I finally said to them, what is wrong with you? So I'm sure even a lot of the bottom of my driveway has to do with heavy trucks going on it. But that has nothing to do with the other part we're looking at.
Okay. Heather, I have another question.
Right.
To that spot where you have the, when I drove by, there was a pickup truck parked there. Now, and I went on a Sunday morning. And that is that part of your lawn, or what do you call that spot? It's like to the left of the garage when you're looking.
That's it. To the left of my garage is the area that we're talking about. That's whatever square footage.
Right, so this is my question, Heather.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a picture of the garage. I see a two-car garage, and I see, if I look at the driveway just coming out of the garage, then to the left, there's all of this other
Right, so the
stuff.
width of the parking within the required front yard is total 44 feet in width.
Instead of 12 feet. Is that correct or not?
Except that we do give allowances when a garage it's either attached or a two-car garage. We allow the width of the garage doors so that the vehicles can access the legal parking spaces which are inside of the garage.
So what would the applicant have to do to make this legal?
Take away the side part, which is, let's see, half of, probably about 22 feet in width,
So that's
and
what
reduce it to the garage doors and take away all the other asphalt.
What? Right. So that's what I'm saying. This entire extra
Yes.
piece is what we are deliberating on.
And whatever is in excess of the garage doors. On the right, there's a little bit.
Oh, on the right, there's a little bit. Okay. What do you do with this extra piece?
Sometimes what I've used it for in the 8 years is I have a lot of timber light around my house, so when I go to refurbish the timber light, I have it drop there. Sometimes I'll put a table there with an umbrella, some chairs for in the front. It's there.
Have you gotten an estimate on removing that and making it lawn?
3,700. Yeah, and compared to a little less than 1,400 to have it top 2 inches. I'm on Social Security. I saved 3 years just for a driveway.
How many cars do you have, vehicles?
I have my own car, and I have a 92-year-old mother that's in assisted living that houses her car in the other part of the garage. Until she's ready to say, I've had enough, then she hasn't drove it in 2 years, but I just am not that person to say it's time to get rid of it.
Heather, as opposed to breaking it up and making a lawn, can the applicant do anything else with that to make it legal?
Other than
That-
remove it?
Other than remove it?
No, because it's parking surface area and it is in the required front yard. In fact, the property line is right at the edge of it.
Because in the past, there've been other situations where we've had people X out, so you can't park. No, that was to eliminate a parking space, not a driveway.
Well, if it's parking surface coverage, then it's parking surface coverage.
You're correct. Yeah, this is clearly out, it's in the extreme category of a driveway, so.
Would it be screened? Could she screen it, would help?
I totally understand that, but, I mean, it has been there for 15 years. I went back on abstracts. It's been there for 15 years. I bought it. I got done yelling at my attorney after all of this and said to him, and he said, Laura, I was there to make sure you got the property you said you bought. That was it. I didn't know anything about previous owners that didn't get a permit, that didn't do something right.
I know.
And so now it sits at me, and I don't want to take and, because I certainly don't have $3,700 to take and dig up stuff and have it taken away and topsoiled and reseeded. I don't have that. And I think it would look horrible, because, not this year, because I've waited too late to do this. Not this year, but I do need a driveway. And that would look people would be able to drive by and go, geez, I wonder what happened there.
So
You know what I
there are-
mean? Because,
There are comments from DPW, sewers, and city planning, and the rest of the departments defer to zoning.
No objection.
Page 39 and 40.
Okay, yes. Oh, here it is. I have read it, but I need to refresh myself, and my papers are strewn badly. 12 feet.
The width of the garage door.
Oh, the width, okay, so that's 24. Did you hand me what I'm supposed to, what page did you say? I think I wrote the last one. Mike is saying, Mike can explain himself, but if we took 15 out of the 30 feet and required some,
Or something, so you wouldn't see the car parked there, would that be?
Well, you should confirm with the applicant that it is used for, reconfirm what she uses that area for.
we asked, and,
Is it to dump mulch or something?
I mean, yeah, and then, of course, if I have somebody doing work in the house and they come pulling in with a truck, of course, it's easy to pull there,
it's the last time I ever unclipped my stuff. when I'm given another pile of stuff. Okay. The pavement is excessive, that's a sewer, never would be permitted, stormwater appears to drain to the street, adding to drainage issues. Zoning must approve sidewalk, must stay intact, while the current condition will impact. The variance, totally impervious area, graded to prevent stormwater, proposed driveway and parking lot, pavement, stormwater sheet flow. Should be installed. So, I'm going to say there are specific reasons to do drainage, to do with the character of the neighborhood. Proposed driveway and parking lot pavement elevation shall be graded to prevent stormwater sheet flow. Stormwater sheet flow from the proposed driveway and parking lot shall be controlled on site. That sounds like a project as well.
What? I didn't understand what you said.
I'm reading from the report. It says proposed stormwater sheet flow from the proposed driveway and parking lot shall be controlled on site by a stormwater facility. A basin, a rain garden, dry wells, dry swales.
This is what somebody is asking to be done? I mean, this has been there 15 years.
The applicant has access to these reports too, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't have, but I'm just telling you what it says. Proposed driveway and parking lot pavement elevation shall be graded to prevent stormwater sheet flow. What do they mean, Heather, when they say no objection if the zoning department is okay with totally impervious area lot coverage?
So they're basically not, they're concerned more about with the drainage of water. And if this is to be maintained, the requirements that the owner would have to do to make sure that it doesn't sheet drain to the street or into the storm sewer.
Right, okay. So to do that, there would be an expense there as well, I gather.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, they tell them to do something. Okay. Other questions from the board?
But for 15 years, nobody worried about that, right? When it was, I guess, brand new and all of this, what it is right now,
Right.
you know?
And I totally understand your point, but we hear that point all the time for 15, 30, 45, 60 years. You know, 15 years, yes, somebody did something that they shouldn't have done, and either it never got, obviously, they never faced any consequences. It's still not an appropriate space within the zoning code.
But I mean, like I said, you know, that's 3,700. No, I mean,
I
if,
understand.
I mean, I will not ever take and dig that up and do that. I'd rather take a trip, you know what I'm saying? So that will stay the way that it is until, you know, I'm just saying, I just thought it would be easy fix, you know, because it's been established. It's established. It's been there. Not, I mean, like I said, I've been there 8.5 years.
Right.
And it was there when I pulled in.
And the variance goes with the house, not the applicant, so it would be there forever, you know, theoretically forever.
Right.
And I understand the situation you're in.
Right?
We don't, we have to look, I'm sorry to say, we have to look a little bit beyond that at, you know, we're charged at looking at the property. not the applicant, you know.
Right.
and-
Well, I totally understand. I totally understand where you're
So,
coming from, and, you know, but I just wish it was a much easier
No,
situation,
I
you
wish
know.
so for you too.
I mean, you know,
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Hearing none, we'll close the case and deliberate on B2215, 1311 Lancaster Avenue, replacing the deck and maintaining the driveway.
Motion we approve.
I'll second it.
Okay. Will there be a change to the neighborhood character? I believe, if anything, it'll be an improvement, hearing about the crumbly old porch. Alternate solutions available, well, you could do nothing, but this is, to maintain the home in the way it was, this is necessary. The magnitude is not large because we're only talking about 1.5 feet in both the parking and in the porch. Will there be an adverse effect on the neighborhood? I highly doubt it, and it's a self-created no.
Anything else? Mr. Jennings? No.
Nope, she should be able to replace her steps. That's it.
Okay, all those in favor of approving variance, say aye.
Aye.
You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
My first house was on Miles Avenue, right near you. And I lived on Livingston for 28 years. I'm just now up in Bradford Hills, so.
Do I need anything from the city, or can I tell them, I'm sorry to ask you this, like, out
You could ask them that.
Sure, go ahead. Well, you'll need your permits. Okay, so did you apply for a permit? Yes. Okay, so you go, what we do is we write up a resolution, it'll be voted on at the next meeting, and then if there's current permits in there, you should, hopefully they will reactivate those so that we can comment and say, now that this has been approved, you can pursue getting your permit.
So we don't have to apply for it, or we'll just get the permit that we asked for, we need to apply for it.
No, what the permit department should do is, they should send it back to us, and so that we know, we can now comment that the variance has been approved.
So my person.
Well, we have to write the resolution, and then they have to approve it at the next meeting, so, and that's in 3 weeks. But in the meantime, we can at least tell the permit department that it has been approved. So,
You have to wait. I'm asking.
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Dinner every week if she's walking up 10 downstairs.
Yeah.
We're dying to get this done.
Okay, so contact the permit department and see when they will be able to release the permit.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Take care. Okay, B2217, 1626 Caleb Avenue. Is there a motion?
Yeah. Maybe Otis has an opinion.
I want to make a motion?
Are we talking about Caleb?
Yes.
Well, my opinion is different on Caleb, but I would make a motion to allow her to do what she needs to do.
So you're making a motion to approve the variance?
Yes.
I'll second Otis. Yeah.
You have to go through the,
And that's on page, I was just on the page too. What page is that again? 33?
And you
Yeah, I'll go through this. Yep, there we go. All right. Will there be a change to the neighborhood's character? No. That has been there for 15 years, so there would not be a change in the neighborhood's character. Are there alternative solutions available so that the variance is not needed? And in my opinion, no, because of the financial duress that the person would be under. What is the magnitude of variance being requested? That she'll be able to make the improvement that she needs to make and do it at a cost which is good for her. And will there be an adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhoods if this variance is approved? In my opinion, no. There will not be an adverse effect. It's been that way for 15 plus years. Who knows how long it's been like that, but no. Is this a self-created difficulty? And my answer to that question is no, because it was there when she purchased it.
Also, if you could please address and take into account the adverse comments from all of the departments.
What was that?
Address the adverse comments from the different departments.
Yeah, I mean,
with
the department is saying that we should not be approving this as is. And Heather's asking you to address those.
I understand that. Understood.
I would say with the, what would be the word, condition that we cut back the driveway like about, say, 10 feet, so then that would solve that stormwater issue. You know, on the
Do we know that? I'm not a
Right,
stormwater expert.
we wouldn't, I think that's an arbitrary number. I think that it wouldn't be up to this board to solve the stormwater problems. However, taking into account the comments that have been made is important in your deliberation and in your decision.
Do you need us to say more, or can we vote?
You can vote because there's a motion and a second.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor of approving the variance say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No.
No?
No.
Two no,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yep, failed motion.
15 years is nothing. It's really nothing. She, unfortunately, can I say this on, am I saying anything wrong? No. I'm just responding to your, there are people who come in here, well, I bought it 40 years ago, or it's been there for 50 years. And yes, we should consider that. I should have said this before we voted, but we should consider that. But it's a very inappropriately wide driveway. It doesn't belong there. It doesn't belong in that neighborhood. So, okay. Oh, I put all my stuff here.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh.
Can I ask you a question?
You can ask me whatever you want.
Okay. If that driveway and garage was not in the front of the house, it's on the side, would that make a difference?
Yes, that's the whole reason for the variance is because it's all in the front yard.
Okay, that's the answer. Okay, so I'm looking now at we did new business, authorizations for October 6th. Do we have anything to say about?
You would just add the 910 Madison variance.
Okay, so
So there'll be 4
there
total.
are 3 authorizations, and then we're adding the 910 Madison Street Landmark Development Company case as well. Make your, eat well before you come. I'm serious. So we have Scott Home Terrace, I'm just looking at the McDonald. A motion to approve the authorizations, including 910 Madison Street. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. turning everything off, I think.
That,